Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Prince Magnum channel where hot rodding and romance do coexist. I'm your host, Prince Magnum. Welcome to Sober Talk. Um, I've been looking forward to today's Sober Talk because we're getting into some really interesting parts of the big book. All of it's pretty interesting to me, but we are definitely going to be cracking this bad boy open, and we've got a lot more reading to do. I'm excited. I hope those that are able to make it tonight are just as excited. Then, of course, as usual, after this particular stream, we will definitely grab. We'll definitely be doing the next stream pretty quickly right after this one. And the next stream, uh, hey, what's going on, Raven? After this stream, we do the usual. We go over to Fortnite and do some Save the World, and we have a good time. We got Ventures tonight. Princess Faye won't be able to join us, but we got Ventures, and we definitely got to do the new Hit the Road because that thing is so much fun. I got to do it, and it was a good time. And I hope y'all can make it because it is a lot of fun. Telling you, I had a great time when Bad Bat and I did. Yeah, I hope you're able to make it tonight. I hope you're able to make it tonight. I seen you were streaming Save the World this morning, but I wasn't able to join you. I was right in the middle of doing some serious editing at that particular time, so I was unable to join you. Trying to stay awake? Okay. If you can make it, that's great. If you can't, I understand. Okay? It's going to be like that. Um, you know, and tonight we're going to continue. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Tonight we've got a lot more to read in the big book as usual. I know a lot of you have been enjoying, learning, basically getting to know what I learned when I was first coming up in sobriety. And it looks like it's going to rain today. But I'm going to come out here. I'm going to have a smoky smoke. And I'm going to make a few minor adjustments. Um, you know, editing anything good? Yes. Yes. I now have two videos now saved up, weapon tutorials for you on Save the World. One of them's the Siege Breaker that you enjoyed so much. Another one is a brand new shotgun that'll work. That basically we can now work in tandem with the Maverick shotgun because I know you like the Maverick. Well, the problem is we can't get Bright Core right now. Bright Core is in short supply. So, in order Right. And in order, basically, it's like, okay, so what do we do? What do we do? And I came up with the solution that maybe we need one in Sunbeam. So I made one in Sunbeam, and the Thunderbolt. It's not as fully perked as the Maverick, but it'll hold its own as it is right now. It um I was very happy. I will just leave it there. Mm, well, I appreciate it. Well, I figure it this way, because you'll be running into the same problem I am. Okay, we've been all short, and you've complained about that too. Bright Core is in short supply. Everybody's complaining about it. Bright Core is in short supply, and Sunbeam, we've got ton. I've got tons of that. You've got tons of it. Oh, hey, that's what we do, though, brother. That's what we do. So we've got that one done now, and eventually um, we're going to get on to doing basically I'm going to do several tutorials and see where it goes. If people really like them, then we'll keep doing them and maybe review some other stuff. Oh, massive farming tomorrow. Okay. If you think about it, holler at me in the morning. I should be. I'm usually awake real early. Hey, what's going on, Charlie? I'm usually wide awake. Uh, close to about the time you're streaming. A lot of times when you're streaming, though, I'm usually at work. Well, I'm off today and tomorrow. It's just I had some serious editing I had to do. If you want a hand, holler at me because I know you usually run early in the morning. Um, yeah, I'm usually up about the time you've been streaming. Just shoot me a message. If I'm awake, I'll get up and jump in and give you a hand. We'll run together. It's good to see you, Charlie. Um, Kind of the early stuff, preliminary stuff. We're getting caught up with each other. How are you doing? How I'm doing? And about 10 minutes in, we're going to crack open that big book and we're going to get to work. Okay? Got a lot of ground to cover. Um, and real quick, while I'm thinking about this, over on TikTok, there was this guy. I don't know. I did a stitch with this guy, and you guys will get a kick out of this, okay? Um, you know, mm, yeah, I understand that. I understand that. Because then if it's not necessarily that you're clashing with them, it's just your supporter number is just right around 300, and I left your stream open for a good little bit. Um, when I seen you were streaming, I just opened it up. But when I had to really draw on the internet, I had to shut it off, shut off my phone. But I had you open for a good while. Oh, it is at 300. I know when I looked for a brief moment this morning, I know it was at 297. So you probably picked up a couple then today. That's good. That's good. But over on TikTok, um, basically this guy was talking about the life he lived before and everything. And I got honest with him in my stitch. I'm like, this is how long I've been sober, you know, and that sort of thing. And, and I can tell you from seeing other people before talking the way you're talking, I straight up told him, you're about 6 months away from a relapse. He didn't like that. He got really upset about it, you know, and he started, you could wish things into existence. It's like, no, if you're for real about this thing, you're going to get real. Okay. You're going to get with that sponsor and, and, you're going to do the right thing. Oh, thank you. What's up, Mikey G? Good to see you. So, I mean, I straightforward told this dude, I didn't pull any punches. I was like, this is how it really is. He got real whiny about it. And he started getting whiny about it. I'm like, you know what? I've been tempted to go and do a TikTok. You know what? Fuck you. You know, you come out there and you don't expect that tough love of someone wanting to tell you, where you're headed, then don't ask. Don't ask for help. If you want insight, fine. But I'll give you all my experience, strength, and hope, and what I've learned from watching others and from my own personal experience. But if you want someone to coddle you, well, then you just need to say it, But coddling you isn't going to keep you sober. Straight up, you know. Almost wanted to hold up a thing of baby powder and a diaper and say, "Here you go, man. Do you want me to get really? Is this what we need to do to you now?" you know. Some people today, when they get into sobriety, it's like they thought they were all tough and everything, before they got sober. And then when you get tough with them and tell them how it really is, then they turn into whiny little sissies. And there was actually an old timer who told me the same thing. Oh, there you go. There was actually an old timer that told me the same exact thing a long time ago. When I first got into sobriety, he said, if you don't start changing your, looking at, he didn't know, well, he didn't like my sponsor, but he told me the same thing. And I was like, you know what? I'll show you. And here I am 15 years later. And every time I talk to him, he's like, I lost $10 on you. I had you figured for going back out there. He's like, you didn't. He said, that was the best $10 I ever lost. He said, I was glad I was wrong. True story. He said, I figured you for dead. He said, nope. He said, you proved me wrong. And, so, I mean, I'm just doing the same thing that he did to me. It's just that yeah. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Raven. I appreciate that. But, it's a lot of people that helped me along the way. But as soon as I finish this, we're going to get in there. We're going to crack open that big book and we're going to get underway because, oh, man, go right on ahead. Go right on ahead. Drop that link. You guys get to know one another, you know, that sort of thing. It's good to see you guys. And, you know how I am about that. If you're in blue and you know somebody, you want to shout your channel out, go right on ahead. Oh, no. Hey, Gavin John, good to see you. In lockdown for 10 days? Dang, brother. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. I hope to see you streaming sometime during those 10 days then. I don't always get a chance to get in there, and when I do, a lot of times I'm busy or I might even be at work. Well, I appreciate that, Raven. And the only thing I really was willing to listen and willing to take suggestions, okay? Because I was done with that life I was living, oh, there you go. You gonna be on? All right, good. You know, I was willing to listen to the people around me, the ones that had quality sobriety. And and that's the thing, okay? I had to be willing to listen. I had to be remain teachable. As good old sober man used to tell me, oh, the car, we're just waiting on the new fender. We talked about it yesterday in yesterday's live stream. We talked about it. It's on its way. We're just waiting. I already paid for a brand new fender for Project Spirit, and we can really start getting underway. Right now, I'm at a standstill. I can't do a damn thing. So, okay, you know, basically, I've remained teachable in AA. Okay, there's always something to learn, and that's a funny thing about the big book and the books that we're getting into. The more you read them, the more you learn. Okay, and that's one of the reasons why I'm very grateful for that hobby. My hobby, I'm hoping sometime here in the near future it becomes my life. Mm. Yeah, Raven's been working on his channel pretty heavily. He's been really kind of dressing it up real nice, and he's really gotten very professional looking with his channel. Even made the right name change that I honestly think that he's got the perfect username, and he's set. All he's got to do is just all it'll take is the right video, the right stream, something, and it'll take off. But enough yip yap. Let's get to it. We got a big book to crack into. I don't know if Ian's going to be able to make it. I know he's been. I know he's been. It was Ian's idea. Zelda, come on. We got to get Zelda. She'll come on. There you go. No, come on, sweetie. I know. I know. Zelda. I didn't like all that fussiness. She doesn't want me when she goes to do something. She wants to do it. Typical cat in this case. Very typical. Um, so I'm hoping Ian's able to make it. I don't know if he's made it or not. I see four of you in here, but he could. He likes to linger in the background and kind of keep an eye on things. Make sure we're all behaving ourselves. And if y'all missed the pre-show for Tuesday Night Madness, I got to host it and I had a great time. I mean, it was exciting. It was so much fun. I mean, I had just a phenomenal time, and maybe sometime in the Zelda Warrior. Yeah, when she gets an idea in her head, absolutely, get out of her way. And excuse the camera equipment right there. I don't know how well you can't really see it. Um, I got a project I'm working on, another video in the making for urban survival. Um, and at the same time, it's also a side project for somebody else. You know, so so I was working on that a little bit, and hopefully I'll be able to present it to them pretty soon. They'll probably freaking flip. She is conked out right now, resting very comfortably for a change. Princess Faye has she had to go see the doctor today. Had to go see the doctor. Nothing serious. Um, well, I guess that depends on how you might look at it, but she's just, had to go see that doctor, and so she's doing good. The appointment was good, which I was happy to hear that. It was one of those appointments that, well, I wasn't needed for it. You know, grab one of the links from one of your last streams there, Mikey G, and just drop that. That'll get us over there. That's an easy one. All righty. So we need to pick up where we left off last week, and last week we left off on page 20. Well, technically we already read through it, but we're going to read through it again, kind of touch base on it, and then we're going to continue forward. Okay? Because this is so good that it's worth. Oh, you're on your phone. All right, all right. There you go. It's one of those things that it's so good it bears, touching base on one more time before we continue forward. So we're going to slide over to page 20, towards the bottom, and it'll start off with a pretty short paragraph at the bottom of page 20. Moderate drinkers have little trouble in giving up liquor entirely if they have a good reason for it. They can take it or leave it alone. Then we have a certain type of hard drinker. He may have the habit badly enough to gradually impair him physically and mentally. It may cause him to die a few years before his time if sufficiently strong reason, ill health, falling in love, change of environment, or the warning of a doctor becomes operative. This man can stop or moderate, although he may find it difficult and troublesome and may even need medical attention. But what about the real alcoholic? Hey, what's going on, Danny? Cracking up in the big book. We're reading the descriptions of your types of drinkers, and I'm just about to read the description of the real alcoholic. What I technically I still am. Okay, all it takes is one drink, one drop of booze, and I'm that person all over again. So, and I just read, if you will, I'll do it again just for you. Do it again just for you. All right. There's three types of drinkers. The first type is basically everybody normal. Then there's the one that they drink like an alcoholic, or they may use like an addict, but they're not. Okay, these are the people that you oftentimes hear erroneously called the used to be alcoholic or used to be addict. So that's the second type. And we'll stop at the end of the description of the alcoholic, and we'll go over this real in detail. All right. Moderate drinkers have little trouble in giving up liquor entirely if they have a good reason for it. They can take it or leave it alone. We have a certain type of hard drinker. He may have the habit badly enough to gradually impair him physically and mentally. It may cause him to die a few years before his time. If a sufficiently strong reason, ill health, falling in love, change of environment, or the warning of a doctor becomes operative, this man can also stop or moderate, although he may have find it difficult and troublesome and may need medical attention. But what about the real alcoholic? He may start off as a moderate drinker. He may or may not become a continuous hard drinker, but at some stage of his drinking career, he begins to lose control of all his liquor consumption once he starts to drink. Here is the fellow who's been puzzling you, especially in his lack of control. If any of you are alcoholic and you relate to this, raise your hand as I'm describing this. He does absurd, incredibly tragic things while drinking. He is a real Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. He is seldomly mildly intoxicated. He's always more or less insanely drunk. His disposition while drinking resembles his normal nature, but little. He may be one of the finest fellows in the world, yet let him drink for a day and he frequently becomes disgustingly and even dangerously antisocial. He has a positive genius for getting it tight at exactly the wrong moment, particularly when some important decision must be made or engagement kept. He is often perfectly sensible and well balanced concerning everything except liquor, but in that respect, he's incredibly dishonest and selfish. Yeah. He often possesses special abilities, skills, and aptitudes, but has a promising career ahead of him. He uses his gifts to build up a bright outlook for his family and himself, then pulls the structure down on his head by a senseless series of sprees. He is the fellow who goes to bed so intoxicated he ought to sleep the clock around. Yet early the next morning, he searches madly for the bottle he misplaced the night before. If he can afford it, he may have liquor concealed all over the house to be certain no one gets his entire supply away from him to throw down the waste pipe. As matters grow worse, he begins to use a combination of high-powered sedative and liquor to quiet his nerves so he can go to work. Then the day comes when he simply cannot make it and gets drunk all over again. Perhaps he goes to a doctor who gives him morphine or some sedative with which to taper off. Then he begins to appear at hospitals and sanitariums. This is by no means a comprehensive picture of the true alcoholic, as our behavior patterns vary, but this description should identify him roughly. Let me stop there for a moment. Folks, that description of the alcoholic, yeah, I was written all over that. For the record, and I mentioned this last week, I'm going to mention it again this week. When I read this was my first resentment in Alcoholics Anonymous. I was very pissed off, and I held a resentment for a good minute. The reason being, why the hell did they write a book about me before I was even born? Yeah, that was a true resentment. Okay. Now, since we just went over the descriptions, I do want to stop there for just a moment. Okay, you've been through. Oh wow, Danny. So you know exactly. You basically that description. You have seen it. Okay. Okay. Well, we're going to get to the nuts and bolts here in a second on that, and the book is going to talk about why they are the way they are. Okay. So now that we've kind of, it's like, wow, that description of an alcoholic. Many people have seen this before. Now, the first drinker, what they called moderate drinker, these are the ones that, as the book says, they could take it or leave it. These are the folks, they might go out to some club, some nightclub of some sort, some dance club, the pub, a bar, tavern, whatever. And they may have one or two, and they're fine. They're cool with that. They may have one or two beers with the buds, hanging out, play a couple games of pool, and they'll go on home. Good night, right? That's it for them. Or maybe they're hanging out at a party and they decide to, try some recreational illicit drugs and they get a little buzz going on, but you know what? Hey, that was fun. They might do it a couple of times, but they're really not interested. Okay. Not their thing, whatever the case may be. That's fun, but you know what? I really don't need all that, whatever. That's the first type that the book talks about, okay? The second type, again, as I started to say, those are your used to be alcoholics or used to be addicts. You'll hear the term thrown around. You'll hear it thrown around on this channel in the chat sometimes. And it's like there is no such thing as the used to be alcoholic. Either you are or you're not. Now, for whatever reason, this person that drinks or drugs like a chemical dependent, oh, when you go live, you can't. Um, that's because you're really not supposed to. It doesn't really offer a keyboard or anything. That's why. On mobile devices, it really doesn't offer a keyboard. That's why. You put all your information in and you do what you're doing in your live stream from your mobile device. That's why. That's just something YouTube doesn't have. All right. So where were we? But you're, uh, yeah, it doesn't work that way. Now, that's why you put all your information in on a keyboard beforehand. But anyhow, where was I? Because I got to stay on topic. I'll get so that they will use or drug like they are. Okay, they'll drink or drug just like they're the real deal. But something will happen. I've seen where someone's like, I did that. I went to church and I never had to do it again. Awesome, great. Um, there was this really hot guy. There was this really hot guy, and I really wanted to be with him, but they didn't want to be with me because here I am, falling down, junkie, falling down drunk, and that sort of thing. What's going on, Chairman? Good to see you, buddy. So I decided that I wanted to stop for them, okay, because I wanted to be with them, or I was with my sweetheart said if I didn't stop, they were done with me, okay, stuff like that. You'll hear these things, and or it was destroying my health. Doctor said if I kept doing it, I was, it was going to kill me, you know. Oh, there you go. That's what's up. So I was, blah 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 blah, that whole thing. Whatever happens, they'll find a reason. Now they may have to go into a treatment center for a little while, and I've even seen where some of them, in a couple instances, where someone actually got a DWI. What we here in the United States, driving while under the influence or driving while intoxicated, depending on the state, they get busted. Oh, no problem, Charlie. No problem. Um, they'll get pulled over by the police, and the police will give them their DWI. They're driving wildly under the influence. They go in front of the judge. The judge is like, you know what? Uh, you know, go to AA. A lot of times judges will send them to us, go to NA, go to outpatient treatment, and this will all go away. Take a SATOP class, which is basically a safety driving sort of bullshit that it doesn't do anything. It's useless. And, that sort of thing. Depending on how many times, what they'll issue. The judge will just come down on them a little hard and, go get help, because we don't need you making this a habit. So they'll go do their thing and they're like, you know what? It's not worth it. I'm quitting. Okay. So something will happen and they're done. All right. That is your used to be alcoholic. Now, for the record, oh, Mikey G, you're welcome, brother. Um, so that's just kind of where we are. Okay. So just kind of take that in for just a moment. That's the used to be alcoholic. Now, really quick, to go into that description of the alcoholic again, watch a playback because there's a lot of information in there. The reason why we say there's a difference between, the used to be and the real deal is, again, as I said last week, a true alcoholic can never be turned back into a normal human being. Okay? Awesome. So now that I've said that, there's no such thing as the used to be alcoholic. Either you are or you're not. It's like this. If you take a cucumber and you turn it into a pickle, you can't take that pickle and turn it back into a cucumber, okay? It's that simple. So, with the alcoholic, once you're an alcoholic, there is no return from that. It is a terminal illness, okay? The U.S., the U.S. Government has long since put their stamp of approval declaring alcoholism as a true disease. Okay. That was back in the 1950s when that happened. So that covers that little bit of information. So if you ever needed that, let me say up front. Okay. Good, 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 good. Yeah, I remember you going through that. So if you ever wondered about that, now you know. Okay. So now that we've done that, we're going to continue forward with the book because it's going to talk about what is actually kind of going on to the alcoholic, and you can, if you need to, you could drop the word alcoholic and replace it with addict, and you'll be still dead on in this case. Okay. So page 22, why does he behave like this? If hundreds of experiences have shown him that one drink means another debacle with all its attending suffering and humiliation, why does he take that one drink? Why can't he stay on the water wagon? What has become of the common sense and willpower that he still has sometimes displays with respect to other matters? Yeah, pretty much. Absolutely, Mikey G. Perhaps there will never be a full answer to these questions. Opinions vary considerably as to why the alcoholic reacts differently from normal people. We are not sure why, but once a certain point is reached, little can be done for him. We cannot answer the riddle. Really quick, I know in recent years they say they have found some gene that makes us addicted to stuff. Okay, I know they say they found that, but I won't say I'm skeptical on the science of it. It's just I would need a lot more information than we as the human race goes than we have available, at this moment. I think we need to research it a little bit more because I've seen people that have had no reason, uh, no one for, generations, no possible way they could become an alcoholic through genetics, and yet they become one. So we're back to the old argument, environment versus heredity. And that's an age old argument that goes back many years, many years. Absolutely. Absolutely. All righty. So as a member of Alcoholics Anonymous, I am not qualified to try to attempt, or is it a mental thing? Yep. All righty. We know while the alcoholic keeps away from drink, as he may do, for months or years, he reacts much like other men. We are equally positive that once he takes any alcohol, whatever, into his system, something happens, both in the bodily and mental sense, which makes it virtually impossible for him to stop. The experience of any alcohol and the experience of any alcoholic will abundantly confirm this. I can confirm this. I actually quit drinking for a year and a half, and uh, not only did it seem like when I picked up I was worse off than where I left off. Hey, what's going on, J Dog? But I was miserable for that entire year and a half. I really hated life. Um, These observations would be academic and pointless if our friend never took the first drink, thereby setting the terrible cycle in motion. Therefore, the main problem of the alcoholic centers in his mind rather than in his body. If you asked him why he started on the last bender, the chances are he will offer you any 100 alibis. Sometimes these excuses have certain plausibility, but none of them really make sense in the light of the havoc an alcoholic's drinking bouts creates. They sound like the philosophy of a man having a headache beats himself on the head with a hammer so that he can't feel the ache. Yep. If you draw this fallacy, fallacious reasoning to the attention of the alcoholic, he will laugh it off or become irritated and refuse to talk, which was actually what I did. I was basically told I either stopped drinking or my then fiance was going to pack up my two daughters and leave. So I tried to stop on my own. All right. Once in a while, he may tell the truth, and the truth, strange to say, is usually that he has no more idea why he took that first drink than you have. There you go, J-Dog. Some drinkers have excuses with which they are satisfied part of the time, but in their hearts they really do not know why they do it. Once this malady has a real hold, they are a baffled lot. There is the obsession that somehow, someday they will beat the game, but they often suspect they are down for the count. How true this is, few realize. In a vague way, their families and friends sense that these drinkers are abnormal, but everybody hopefully awaits the day when the sufferer will rouse himself from his lethargy and assert his power of will. The truth is that if the man be a real alcoholic, the happy day may not arrive. He has lost control. At a certain point in the drinking of every alcoholic, he passes into a state where where the most powerful desire to stop drinking is of absolutely no avail. Wait a minute. Absolutely, Harold. Absolutely. Oh, there you go. Oh yeah, some people. I was one of those. Well, actually, I was kind of a happy drunk till I got pissed off about something. All right, let's go over this again. At a certain point in the drinking of every alcoholic, he passes into a state where the most powerful desire to stop drinking is of absolutely no avail. The tragic situation has already arrived in practically every case long before it's suspected. The fact that most alcoholics, for reasons yet obscure, have lost the power of choice in drink. Yep, hitting their bottom. We'll get to that in a moment, but don't get ahead of me on this. Our so-called willpower becomes practically non-existent. We are unable at certain times to bring into our conscious with sufficient force the memory of the suffering and humiliation of every week or a month ago. We are without defense against the first drink. And just so you know, that entire paragraph I just read is in italics, okay? They wanted you to know there is no defense against the first drink. At almost certain consequences that follow taking even a glass of beer do not crowd into the mind to deter us. If these thoughts occur, they are hazy and readily supplanted by the old threadbare idea that this time we shall handle ourselves like other people. There is a complete failure of these kinds of defense that keeps one from putting his hand on a hot stove. Think about it for a moment, and the book will kind of talk about this a little bit later on. But imagine someone who gets a kick out of putting his hand on a hot stove. We'd say, "Man, that's screwed up. You keep hurting yourself. You're burning your hand. I don't know why I'm doing it." Apply that thinking to the alcoholic, and you'll pretty well have your finger on the pulse of of what's happening here. Okay. Well, we're gonna get Mikey G. We're gonna get to that. There's actually a paragraph that's gonna blow your mind in a moment. The alcoholic may say to himself in the most casual way, "It won't burn me this time, so here's how." Or perhaps he doesn't think at all. How often have some of us begun to drink in this nonchalant way, and after the third or fourth pounding on the bars, said to ourselves, for God's sakes, how did I get started again?" Only to have that thought supplanted by, "Well, I'll stop by the sixth drink," or "What's the use anyhow?" When this sort of thinking is fully established in the individual with alcoholic tendency, he has probably placed himself beyond human aid, and unless locked up, may die or go permanently insane. These stark, ugly facts have been confirmed by legions of alcoholics throughout history. But for the grace of God, there would have been thousands of more convincing demonstrations. So many want to stop but cannot. There is a solution. Although none of us like the self-searching and the leveling of our pride, the confession of shortcomings, which the process requires its sufficient consummation there, but we saw that it really worked in others, and we had come to believe in the hopefulness and futility of life as we had been living. Therefore, we were approached by those in whom the problem had been solved. There was nothing left for us to pick up this simple kit of spiritual tools laid at our feet. We had found much of heaven, and we have been rocketed into the fourth dimension of existence, which we have not even dreamed. Hi, Ian! The great fact is just this, and nothing less. We had deep and effective spiritual experiences which have revolutionized our whole attitude toward life, toward our fellows, towards God's universe. The central fact of our lives today is the absolute certainty that our Creator has entered into our hearts and lives, in which is indeed miraculous. He is commenced to accomplish those things for us which we could never do by ourselves. And this again is another one of those moments in which some people might equate this to religion, but it's not. Imagine for a moment a simple idea combating something so tragic. Take that in for a moment. Something so simple, it just might work. And For our friends who are in the military, they will understand this. If it's stupid, but it works, it isn't stupid. And there's a lot of our veterans right now that the moment hearing that, they're like, yep, that ain't stupid then. If it's working, it ain't stupid. So, yeah. I know we got some veterans in here, and the moment I say, some people will say this is stupid, but if it didn't, but if it's working, it isn't stupid. No, no smoking, no smoke and mirrors needed here. And this one is one of those spots that I have highlighted what I'm about to read you. All right, on page 25, and this is probably one of the biggest ones. Absolutely. You see? Yep, Raven's right there with me. This is another one of those ones that the moment I say it, this was exact. If you needed any simpler, if you're sitting on the fence wondering, if you yourself are, thinking about recovery, if there's any of you out there who's sitting on the fence thinking about recovery, this will drive you over the edge. I know it did, it rocked my world when I was sitting there on Sober Man's couch, on the old sober couch, reading this paragraph. So strap yourself in. And if you needed, if there's any of you that have loved ones, this is as simple as it gets. If you are as seriously alcoholic as we were, we believe there is no middle of the road solution. We were in a position where life was becoming impossible, and if we had passed into the region from which there is no return through human aid, we had but two alternatives. One was to go on to the bitter end, blotting out the consciousness of our intolerable situation as best we could, and the other to accept spiritual help. This we did honestly want to and were willing to make the effort. Well, yeah, absolutely. Honestly, no, the hardest step in the road to recovery is admitting you've got a problem. That's the real problem. That's the big one. I'm going to go ahead and kind of stop there for a moment because the book gets in. We're not too terribly far from the end of this chapter. So come next week, we will definitely finish this chapter up. Absolutely. Okay. We will definitely be finishing this up, and which is called There is a Solution. That's the chapter we're on. We're on page 26 currently. Top of the page, first full paragraph. And after this, we will be getting into the chapter more about alcoholism, which kind of covers the first step. What we're going over right now is, yeah, I'll go with that. I'll agree with that. Yeah. More about alcoholism is really kind of the first step. We're just kind of in Bill's story, and there is a solution is kind of preparing you for the steps yet to come. Then after more about alcoholism, the next chapter that we get into is that's a big chapter. The next chapter we get into is We Agnostics, which is chapter 4. We Agnostics is kind of step 2. The book doesn't actually formally say it, until the third step, it doesn't actually formally say this is step, and we actually hear for the first time that we're going through the steps by the time we reach step 3. So, if you will, the book's kind of tricking you into the steps at this point in time. Really quick, you guys will crack up at step 6 and 7. There's really only a paragraph to each one. And back before the 12 Steps and 12 Traditions book, that was all we had. So you guys are going to get a kick out of that, I believe. So, You know, we will continue on with this. Are you guys enjoying the reading of the big book? Are you guys really enjoying that? I mean, if you guys are getting a kick out of this, we might see about doing this a little bit more throughout the week, doing these sort of studies. We may have to do more of these if you guys would like, between now and the time that Project Spirits Fender gets here. We definitely should continue. I mean, if you guys want to do this a little bit more, maybe we should. I mean, or maybe we need to, for Thursday night, we may have to go live earlier and stay live longer. Absolutely. If that's what you guys would like. If any of you want that, please say so in the chat right now as we're getting close to the end of the stream. Um, if you guys are really getting a kick out of this, learning about, maybe, no, okay. Because if you want, we could go live earlier on Thursday nights. I mean, I'm just sitting here reading the book, and to me, that's there's a lot to this. And I think I need to kind of mention a little bit more. It's hard for me to keep up with the chat when I'm doing these readings, so just kind of take it in, and we'll kind of put more in there. So, but if you guys are enjoying it, we'll if you guys like it the way it is and you're still enjoying this, absolutely, we'll continue to keep doing this. Um, I enjoy it, bringing you guys, what has helped me a great deal. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for what I got right here, and, just a good sponsor and, all those things like that. I do appreciate you guys. And Ian, it was your idea, and I'm very grateful for it. Oh, okay. Yeah, I get it. I get it. Well, do you think maybe I should throw in an extra day of doing big book readings? I mean, that wouldn't be a problem for me. I know at some point I'm probably going to go through and kind of pick certain spots. So maybe add in an extra day of reading the big book. That would be awesome. That would be absolutely awesome. Well, hello, Miss Electric Gaming. I have not been over to see you in a little while. I know one of the last times I was over there, I forget what you were working on, but I you were playing some shooter game and you were looked like you were kicking butt. But yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Thank you, Chairman. Uh, sometime we'll have to get over, have to get over there and see you. I know right after this stream, we're going to be going live again, and I'll be playing Fortnite Save the World, the storyline for Fortnite, which is a lot of fun. If you've never done it, if you've never played it, you're missing out. Yeah, I think you might have been playing Call of Duty. Yeah. And yeah, that's awesome, man. That's it, a shooter game. It goes pew pew. Yeah, yeah. I couldn't remember what shooter game she was playing, but you know, when I get over and see, and a lot of times, just for the record, there are times if you ever have just a random light pop up and nobody says anything, there's an excellent chance it's me. The reason why I'm not saying anything is either A, I'm at work and I really shouldn't be sneaking onto my phone to drop you guys a like because I can get in trouble. Or number two, I'm editing a video and I'm still trying to show my love to y'all because y'all show a lot of love to me. So that's it. Sometimes I get caught up in those moments where I just, I've got to get the work done. And Ian will tell you, Ian, Mikey G, Raven, Chairman, a lot of you have seen my edited work. And, that's, you've been live on Twitch lately. I've been, a lot of people keep asking me when I'm going to slide over to Twitch, but I'll be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, I could try to dual stream, but I'm doing okay over here. I'm doing okay over here. And for me, it's hard enough the fact that I've got a TikTok channel and this at the same time. It's hard for me to keep. Could you imagine me trying to keep up with three of those? Whew, it ain't happening. Not for this guy. I couldn't do it. I just haven't got the power. Oh, you're still uploading to YouTube? That's awesome. That's awesome. Um, pretty much from here, we'll have to definitely consider doing, we'll iron out the details where maybe I can, spend a little bit more time reading directly out of the big book for you guys and giving you some of the insight on what they're talking about. Um, Basically what I'm doing with you guys right now is what Sober Man did with me when I first got sober. I was probably, with what we're going over right now, I was a week and a half sober going over this stuff. And let me tell you, I would come in on a day off from work and we would crack open that book and we would go reading together for hours. Reading, he would read for a little while, then I would read for a little while, back and forth, and we just kept going. And it was exciting. It was really exciting. And tell you a real funny story. You guys hear me? Oh, need a coffee? Tell you a really interesting part of the story. When I first went over to Sober Man's house for the very first time, I sat on this couch that was next to the door at the spot closest to the door. Because if he knew me the way that everybody else knew me, he wouldn't want me here. He'd throw me out the door, no problem. So I figured if that was going to happen, I would need to be close enough to the door. Well, as we were reading the big book, and I was moving a little bit closer towards the end of that couch, until I got to my fifth step, then it was right back at the other end. I was like, well, this is it. This is where it tosses me out the door. The irony of that, when I opened up the book, when I started going over my fifth step with Sober Man, well, he fell asleep. Or at least I think he did. So I guess it really wasn't that good at being that bad. Actually, the real truth of it is, and that's actually a joke I'll do in AA meetings. Really quick, what Sober Man would do, and this is what his sponsor did, is he would pretend he was asleep while I was doing my fifth step. He just kind of, put his head down, kind of close the eyes a little bit, and he would listen. The reason why he would pretend he was asleep is so I would feel comfortable. So I wouldn't be afraid to share what needed to be shared. And at the end of it all, um, you know, he was, I got a lot out. I got a lot out. Um, I mean, I poured it out all on the table. And at the end of it all, Sober Man looks at me. He says, Prince Magnum, what you have told me, has been, he said, you've taken me down a few new avenues and a lot of avenues I've already been down with other people I've sponsored before. He said, but he said, from here, I forgive you. God forgives you. Now you have the rest of your life to forgive yourself. And I was like, it was a big relief, a big relief. Kind of like, maybe I'm not so bad after all. Maybe I've got a chance. And we'll talk more about that as we go through the book, because we're kind of getting into areas that are, I'll have some personal experience with certain spots in the book, a little, and I'll add that in as we go. That way you guys can, kind of see, where I'm coming from in this whole thing we call sobriety. Absolutely. So if you guys are getting it, we're going to have to try to squeeze in more time with the big book, most definitely. And I appreciate you guys. Well, see, here's the thing. Okay. I'm going to give you a thought. Okay. And this is something I've seen on TikTok, but I'm probably going to word it a little bit differently than they did. Imagine for a brief moment that I can time travel. Okay. And let's say I time travel back. Hold that thought. I travel back in time. Okay. To the time when you're born. Okay. And let's say when I get back in time. Okay. There we go. Ta-da. All righty. As I started to say, imagine for a moment that I can time travel. And let's say I travel back to the time when you're born. Okay. And I travel back in time, we'll say with about $1 million. Okay. And I give this $1 million to your family, but I don't just give it to them. Basically, I give them a nice home, and basically make sure that all their needs are met. They even get special parenting classes and things like that. So you have the perfect childhood. Grow up, you've already got college paid for, the whole 9 yards, and you are now wealthy and successful. Here's the problem. If you don't realize this, by creating this alternate timeline, I just murdered you. Take that in for a second. I just killed off who you were. All right? Just killed who you were. Because the person who's sitting here right now watching this, I don't care if it's the playback or whatever, has had to go through adversity, had to put through other people through adversity. But through all of that adversity that you had to go through, and that you put other people through, and that other people had to go through over what was happening to you, and whatever, made you who you are, made you the special person that you are. You are a sum of the experiences that you have went through. So, in essence, you are special because of the experiences you have went through. That is one of the things that makes a person beautiful, is by who they are. So, if you will, do you want to be perfect, the ideal person, or do you want to be able to say, hey, I got these scars by having to go through life, and it's made me a tough person, and because of it, I have a story to tell, a story that might help somebody. I'll take that second one. I know that sounds crazy, but I'll take that second one, because there are things that are more important than money and all that other stuff. Money comes and goes. Money comes and goes. It's who you are here, and the lasting relationships that you make in your life that's the true wealth, or at least that's the way I feel. And I've said this in meetings, and now I'm saying it to all of you. All righty. Good stuff, Maynard. All right. So we're at the stage where I'm getting ready to shut her down. I'll be on Save the World. We've got a lot of crazy stuff going on tonight. Princess Faye will not be able to join us. We're still waiting on the new computer. It should be here soon. Back with the coffee. I got my coffee. Colombian bean juice. Made from the finest Colombians. No, I'm teasing. I actually did that once, real quick, before we get ready to do the usual stuff. I got to tell you this story. I was I bought this thing of coffee. I forget what brand it was. And I went up to the, and it said on there 100% Colombian. And I went up to, pay for this, obviously. And I looked directly at the cashier. I said, "This says it's 100% Colombian." Just out of curiosity, is it really made from 100% Colombians? And she's like, "I don't know." She knew I was just trying to get a rise. That poor cashier. All righty. So that brings us to the spot. Again, we're going to be firing up Save the World. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of excitement. You're all, if you've got Save the World, you're welcome to join if I know you. If I know you. How many times, Ian, how many more times do we got to get the person? Will you help me? Will you trade me stuff? I've been ripped off. Oh, shit. All righty. Oh, you're off to bed. All right, Chairman. So that brings us to our usual spot. As a reminder, I have managed to make the amount of time that I've made in sobriety because of wonderful people like yourselves who continue to support me every day. Yeah, we'll see how many we get tonight. We'll get them all, promise. And, I want to thank you all for being here and continuing to support me as I continue to do my best to stay sober, even if it's just this 24 hours. For just today, if I stay sober, it's because of all of you. If I don't stay sober tomorrow, which tomorrow isn't here, then that would be my fault. I let you all down. So, now that I've said that, we like to let out a very special way here on Sober Talk, and it goes a little something like this. And I want you all to take this to heart. This is very special to me. I say this in AA meetings, and I say that I've even said this in a couple NA meetings. And now I get to say it again to all of you, and I enjoy saying it. At day's end, I hope all of you need me as much as I need you. And for all of you, if no one has told you that they love you today, Prince Magnum does. God bless you and have a happy 24. Thank you.